G'day, g'day, g'day. Welcome to Aussievision. My name is Craig, and this week the inmates have taken over the asylum, and where I am joined by three of my fellow contributors. There is no Dale in sight, there is no Kyriakos in sight, and instead I am joined by the lovely Colleen, Z, and Laura. How are you guys going?
G'day, g'day. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I am well, thank you. And I'm excited for this weekend because after a bit of a lull last week, we didn't have too many national finals on. We are back full throttle this week with 6 massive shows coming up over the next weekend. And we're going to talk first tonight about probably the most anticipated national final of the entire year at this point. It's UMK in Finland. There are 7 songs participating. I think any of them would do extremely well at Eurovision this year. And I'm curious to hear who you guys think is going to take out the crown. So let's throw to you, Laura, first. I've got 2 questions for you. First of all, who is your winner out of this crowd of 7? But perhaps more importantly, much as I think your opinions are very important, who do you think is the winner from this crowd of 7?
Okay, well, UMK has certainly become one of the highlights of the national final calendar in recent years, and this year is no exception. All of the songs are really, really good quality. My personal favorite is Kira with No Business on the Dance Floor. Nice up-tempo dance number, sure to get the party started. But I think Karia with Cha 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 is going to end up taking out the crown. I know there's a couple of others that are in contention, like Robin Pakarinen with Girls Like You. Robin is really, really famous over in Finland. And also, I think maybe Kuma with
good luck, Laura. Here you go. Give it a shot.
Ylivoimainen is could potentially pull an upset because it's been gaining a bit more steam, #1 on the Finnish Spotify in recent years. But yes, Cha Cha Cha, I think, might end up upsetting the ball. It really just grabs you from the very start with its hard-hitting, it's like a cross of EDM and I want to say maybe rock and metal at the start. Anyway, when I hear that first half, I feel like I'm going to bench 400 kilos, and honestly, look at me.
I believe in you. I reckon you can bench that 400 kilos. I must say, you look at Cha Cha Cha. Yeah, true. I mean, I look at Cha 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 in the odds, and I'm seeing figures like 71% chance to win. And I think that might be a little bit overhyped. Z, what do you reckon? Do you reckon Cha Cha Cha's got it in the bag at this stage?
Yeah, I think as you said, I think I agree. I think that, the one that's probably going to win is Cha Cha Cha. The bookies and the YouTube viewing figures and the fan polls they're leading in all of it. I don't think it's going to be as big a landslide as the bookies are sort of thinking. As Laura talked about, Kuma's song is #1 in Finland. They're not quite sure if they're going to win from second in the running order, but we'll have to wait and see. And Robin Pakarinen, as you said, Laura, as well, also has a huge following in Finland and has had the most #1 singles out of any of the artists performing in this lineup. So. He could be one to watch, but again, opening the show is a bit tricky to win from that position, I think. I think Alexandra could be a bit of a dark horse. So this final is sort of saturated with those quirky up-tempo songs, and she's sort of the only one with a slower, more subtle song and one of only 2 main female vocalists. And she's also second last in the running order, which is a very strong position to be in. So even though I think that is the weakest song out of the lineup, ironically, I think it would do a lot better than expected. In terms of who I'm hoping to win, I'm hoping that Benjamin will win. I think he's absolutely fantastic and fabulous. As I said in my Aussievision ranking comments, I think he's like Erika Vickman's younger brother. He's just very fabulous, very dramatic. It's a really good piece. So I'm hoping that he will win, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah.
I can definitely agree with you on Benjamin. He's doing it for the gays, and I am here for it. Colleen, what about you? We're hearing a lot of buzz for Cha 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 from Laura and Z. Are you on that train as well, or do you think there's someone else who might take it out?
Yes, I think I am on that train. My favorite, the same as the social media favorite and the bookies favorite, is Cha 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 by Karia. It's just got so much in it that keeps your attention through the whole song. Like from the start, it's that hard-hitting type rock, the cha-cha-cha, like the shouty cha-cha-cha. And it goes into this like EDM dance, Euro dance, classic sort of that Scandinavia is famous for. I don't necessarily think that it's going to win, because if we look back to 2020, Erika Vickman was the favourite, the clear favourite, and Looking Back won instead. So I think one of two things will happen. Either Alexandra will win with Something to Lose, because I think that's the most like Looking Back. It's slower and there's not anything like it in the lineup. But I also think it could go more the Rasmus route with Robin Pakulin winning, because he is the most well-known out of the whole lineup.
Definitely agree that Alexandra's in a terrific position, standing out in that lineup and sounding completely different to everything else. One more question on Finland before I wrap up with my comments. Cha 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 has been getting a lot of buzz in the bubble. If it does win in Finland, how do you think it will do at Eurovision? Because I'm hearing like winner talk about this one. I don't need too much of a comment, but just a yes or a no. Laura.
I don't think it'll win, but I think it will do quite well. It will definitely have its niche in the fandom of people who really go after that. But yeah, I don't think it'll take it all, I'm afraid.
Colleen?
I don't necessarily think it'll win, but I think it'll definitely qualify, maybe get to top 10.
And Z?
Very, very good in the televote. Not so sure how the juries are going to react to it, but we'll wait and see.
Before we move on to our next national final, though, there's one song that we haven't talked about, and I think that's possibly undeserved, because while I don't think Portion Boys is anyone's favourite in this lineup, I think they're the sort of thing that seems tailored to appeal very much to the domestic Finnish public. We saw I Love You by the Teflon Brothers go really big in the televote a couple of years ago, and this seems in the same sort of vein. And the Portion Boys are pretty well known in Finland from my understanding. So while I think Twitter will probably have a meltdown if it happens for the umpteenth time this year, I wouldn't rule that out as a possibility. We should all probably be on alert for the Portion Boys at this point.
Well, yeah, let's hope it has a better live performance than I Love You.
Yeah, look,
Well, it's my second, so I wouldn't mind if it wins.
I'm glad it's got fans. Let's move on to the next national final, which will be coming up on Monday morning for those of us here in Australia. It is Poland, with the most incredible national final name of the year. I'm not going to try it in Polish, but the heart beats here. What is it? No, hang on. The heart of Europe beats here. We choose hits for Eurovision, and there are 10 hits to choose from. Sadly, we only have 9 of them available, as well as a 30-second clip from Alicia Szemplinska's song, who was the lady who was supposed to go for Poland in 2020. But I think we've got enough to be able to sort of make judgments about how we think this is going to go. So I'm going to throw to you first, Z. Who, again, similar question. Who is your winner, and who do you think is the winner?
Okay, I'm going to start with the one I think is going to win, and I think that's probably Jan and Gladiator. It seems to be on social media being the favourite and the favourite in a few of the polls. I think the audio itself is very good and it's the most unique song, but I'm still very seriously traumatised by that music video. I'm not sure if that was tar or burnt Vegemite he was covering himself in, but with those convulsions, that was just seriously disturbing. But it is a very unique song, and seems to be doing well. So I'm going to say I think that's going to win. But I think he has an advantage because he's in the Mikos Spach position, third from the end of the running order. So a very good running order from him as well. But the one that I hope will win is actually Blanca's solo. I think it's a really good song. It brings a bit of Caribbean to Poland. It's a great summertime song. And after several years of those dated tracks from Poland, you think, even Ochman to a certain extent, but definitely Raphael, Alicia, and Tulia, it'd be great to see Poland send a more contemporary tune. And she has a good chance of winning second last in the running order like Ochman last year. So I'm hoping that will be the winner. Quickly, I want to mention as well, special mention to Elena and Booty. I would just absolutely love to see conservative Catholic Poland send a song about booties and that contains the B word. That would just be amazing. Yes, I think she could give Slavic girls a run for her money in terms of raunchiness. But more realistically, I think Jan's going to win. but we'll see.
I really want Booty to win just because I want the words bum bum jiggle to show up at Eurovision in a lyrics list. It'd be very juvenile, but I am very juvenile. It would make me laugh. Laura, Z mentioned Blanca. I know for a fact that you're a massive fan of Blanca, and so is Poland. She's got 9 million on YouTube. So do you think that she's the winner?
Oh, I love her song. I really, really want her to win. I hope she'll be the winner, but I am inclined to say that Jan has also got a really good spot in the running order. It could be between those two, but I will say Alicia Szemplinska is a bit of a dark horse right now. She's got this really lovely, moving, emotional ballad, New Home. And I think, yeah, she could possibly upset the apple cart. And as we say in the UK.
Well, I mean, we've only heard 30 seconds of Alicia's song. The 30 seconds sounded quite nice, but I think you're definitely right that we don't really know what she's bringing, and it could be amazing or it could be a flop. So, Laura, one other thing, you mentioned Jan. How do you actually feel about Gladiator? Because it's gotten a lot of hype online.
It's gotten a lot of hype, and I can, on one hand, I can see why the fandom are really hyping it. It's got really interesting, unique, artistic visuals. It's got a bit of the Sheldon Rileys about it in terms of sort of how dark it is. It's sort of the entry I was sort of initially imagining Sheldon would send to Eurovision based on his time on The Voice Australia. But on the other hand, I'm not sure he's as strong a live vocalist, I'm judging solely by the studio cut here. I don't think he's as strong a live vocalist as, well, Sheldon Riley, or even some of the other contenders in this national final, like Alicia, who won Poland's version of The Voice. So on one hand, I can see why it's being hyped, but on the other hand, I think it could also have the potential to crash and burn live. I kind of hope I'm wrong for the fans' sake, but we shall see.
Meltdown this year. I have thoughts on that because my understanding is that Jan's actually classically trained, like he's done like opera training, and he's actually quite good live. So I'm going to disagree on that point. But
okay.
My issue with this is I do like it. I enjoy it. I think that some of the hype is more attached to the video than the song itself. Like it's a very engaging visual. I'm not sure that the song is there to back it up to the degree which would justify the amount of hype I've seen online. It's a good song, but I don't know if it's got the hooks to stay with an audience. And I definitely worry about it translating to a live performance. Not because I'm worried about his vocals, just because I think it could end up looking a little bit like awkward or weird. The other thing I'm going to say before we move on is on Blanca. I mentioned it before, but she's got 9 million YouTube views, and this is before the song was even announced. So I think people might be underrating her chances a little bit. Like, that's a lot of YouTube views, you know? And I don't know, maybe she paid for some of them or something, but like, on the assumption that that's organic engagement and that people really like this song, I think we should make the assumption that people in Poland like this song and that there might be more of a chance here than people are giving it credit for. But that's just me, and we'll have to see come Monday. Now we're going to move on to the other final occurring this weekend, and I'm going to admit it's Una Voce per San Marino, and this is not one I've been following in great detail, but we are blessed this evening because we are in the presence of greatness. We are in the presence of Z and Colleen, who have sat through almost all, I understand, of the chaos so far. So, Colleen, I'm going to go to you first. What's going on? Please talk to me like I'm 5 and explain what's going on, because I don't understand.
So if you had a birthday party and you were given lots of birthday presents, but you were given lots more birthday presents, and you were given even more birthday presents, and all of them were sort of not really the best surprise in the world, is how I would describe it.
That's an amazing analogy. You sat through Malta with me. Would you say that this is a better or worse experience for your mental health so far?
Well, at least in Malta, I had a few songs that I could say, yes, I love them. But here, there's just so many that you can't really point one out and go, yeah, that's the one, or yeah, that could actually do well.
Well, you know what, Colleen? I'm going to make you do that. So I'm going to need you to give me some names and tell me who you think your favorite is and who do you think is going to win in San Marino this year.
Oh gosh. So my favorite, I think, I'm just looking through the list. It'll come back to me once I see the correct name.
There's 106 of them. No one could criticize you. It's okay.
I think I really liked Non Bastara, mostly because it felt like a Wish version of Måneskin. Just felt like in the best possible way. Like me being a fan of MESC and the Moldovan auditions, it makes me feel like I'm watching that, like the camp sort of side, where they try. It's not the best, but they try their best.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to go to Z. I know that we've got Aussievision there, and I listened to his song, and I thought it was a pretty decent ballad. And I also understand that we've got Blue Double D Double Da, Double D Double Da, Double D Double Da. And I understand they have a less good song. So do you think either of them are in with a chance, or is it someone else who I've not even noticed yet?
Okay, let's start with Eiffel 65. It was a pretty poor song. Like, I'm just gonna be blunt. Like, the rapping was bad, the timing was off, lacks energy. So I think the only reason
Tell us how you really feel, Z.
Sorry?
Tell us how you really feel.
Okay, yeah, well, I've just said it. I think the only reason they've qualified is because they're the biggest name in the selection. That's why they've gone directly to the final. So I'm just going to put it bluntly like that. So I don't think they're going to win. In terms of Alfie, I might be biased as an Australian, but honestly, I thought it was really, really good. It was a haunting, dramatic ballad. And I think I dare say it's perhaps if they send it to Eurovision, it'd be their best ballad since Valentina's Chrysalis in 2013. And it'd be fantastic to see San Marino do something different at Eurovision and send a more sort of serious ballad. You know, they're famous for sending, more lighter tunes and all that. And I really hope that San Marino gives them a chance. And I'd like San Marino to think strategically. Italy isn't in your semi-final, but Australia is. So if you send Alfie, Australia might give you lots of votes, rather than if you send an Italian. So that's another argument in the case of Alfie, I'd say. I agree with Colleen. I think Non Bastara is also one to watch. I think one I'd like to talk about is Le Deva with Flowers on Mars. They're a female vocal trio, and I really enjoyed that performance. I think that's one to watch. And I think I'll quickly mention, so there's one more sort of main semi-final to go. And obviously, Renola, who represented Albania last year, is coming back, and she's singing a song partly in Spanish, and Save Me in Spanish. I'd say it's probably less intense, less ethnic, less unique, but a bit more mainstream than her last Eurovision entry, but it's still like very addictive, and you can tell it's quite a good song. And I think it'd be very iconic if this Albanian diva performs in Spanish and represents San Marino. I just think that'd be very iconic. So those are my takes on San Marino. Yeah.
I did hear Renella's song, and I definitely agree with what you just said there. It didn't hit me as immediately as something like Secret did, but I think there's something there. And if she can bring it live, I think there's probably like a good chance there's something to work with there. But certainly it sounds like there's a lot of options, and I'm getting the impression that we're not quite sure yet, at least partially because there's so many acts still to come. But I think definitely let's keep an eye out for Aussievision and see if we can go for 3 Australia Decides artists in this year's lineup at the Eurovision Song Contest. Now, we also have a couple of non-finals happening this weekend, and we want to talk about them because some of them are pretty damn exciting, let's be honest. So let's go to Melfest first. People haven't been talking about Melfest as much as in previous years, I feel, this year, but that's definitely changed this week, particularly due to the presence of a certain artist starting with L. So, Laura, let's just cut straight to the chase. Loreen, Tattoo, yay or nay?
Yay, absolutely yay. Honestly, It's probably one of the highlights of this Melfest heat this year, and honestly, Melfest this year in general. I heard the first snippet, and even that gave me some goosebumps. Yes, it's a very accessible pop song, but she puts her Loreen magic on it, her Loreen spin on it, which makes it sound absolutely incredible. And from what I've been hearing from journalists on the ground in Sweden, the song evolves even more from that first snippet, which we only have access to now at the time of filming. So I'm really, really excited to see how this song pans out. And could it win Melfest, honestly?
Certainly sounds like it's in with the shot so far. I think it's difficult to judge from the snippet we have because it stops straight before what sounds like the drop. And so we definitely have a minute of really exciting sounding build-up, and it will be interesting to see if that build-up goes anywhere. Colleen, we have 6 other songs in this semi-final as well as Loreen. Who are your favorites out of those? I'm assuming Loreen's probably your favorite, and if she's not, who's your favorite? But who are your favorites other than Loreen as well?
So outside of Loreen, I really liked Mera Mera Mera. I didn't have any high expectations of it just because I think that Emil, he's a new artist, and you don't really see new artists qualifying that often unless it's with a really good song. But the snippet that we got, it just kind of stayed with me in a way that no others did. Although I also did really like Edelweiss, just because it had some sort of kind of folk fair vibe that the others had. As for qualification, I honestly don't know at this point. It's very hard to tell. Just because Loreen, although she's probably the most iconic Melfest winner, we have to remember that she's only been in the final once out of her 3 participations.
But it was a good one.
Yes. And also, I think Mariette is also quite a Melfest icon, but I didn't feel that her song was maybe as strong as some of the others that were there.
I tend to agree with that because I heard the Mariette song and I love Mariette. I'm really here for her. I would love to see her win one year. This song was giving me How Far I'll Go from Moana with like a little bit of a Scandi twist. And like, I love Moana. I think it's the best Disney film ever. But I don't know if that's what I want from my Melodifestivalen entries. And so I'm a bit worried for Mariette. I could see her going the way of Victoria, who unfortunately didn't qualify a couple of weeks ago. One other one who I want to mention, I entirely agree with everything Colleen said, is it Kiana or Kiara?
Kiana, where did you go?
Has come with an amazing big pop song. It sounds really good. And I think if Loreen wasn't there, we'd all be talking about her because that's the good Melfest stuff that we all come for. Really well produced, sounds really like up-tempo and capable of producing an interesting stage performance. And everything I've heard about Kiana suggests that she has her stuff together and is going to show up ready to give a great performance on Saturday in Europe. We are running short on time, so I'm going to move to the next one now. Also occurring on Sunday morning is the first semi-final of Festival de Canção in Portugal. Laura, you've been watching that one closely. There's a couple of big names in the lineup this week. Who do you think is standing out? Who do you think has a shot of going for Portugal this year?
So there are 2 big names in that semi-final that immediately stand out to me. One of them is Claudia Pascoal, who represented Portugal in 2018 with O Jardim. This year she's coming with a song called Nasce Maria, which is, if you're expecting O Jardim Part 2, you're not going to get that. Let's just say that right now. Nasce Maria is a bit more modern, a bit more experimental, and a bit bolder as well, but still keeping to some nods to traditional Portuguese fado elements in the percussion in the backing tracks. So that's something I definitely look out for. I think it's really interesting song. The second big name that jumped out to me is Mimi Cat with Ai Coração. This one is nowhere near as modern as Nasce Maria. This one is a bit more of the traditional Portuguese song that you tend to hear at Festival de Canção, but it's done really, really well. And I know the fandom on Twitter are definitely talking about it. So that's another one to watch.
I love Mimi Cat. I hope she wins. The only thing with her is that I'm like, she's giving me a little bit Lazara from France. Like there's that same sort of like, grande dame energy, the sort of thing you can see the fans on Twitter screaming mother at over and over and over. And definitely I get that it's got that sort of traditional Fado edge, but it also feels quite on brand with where the contest is at now. And I could see it getting the attention on the night. I could see it having its niche and doing really well in that respect. One other song I want to mention, just because I love it, I don't know how well it'll do, but it's Contraste Mudo by You Can't Win Charlie Brown. Sorry, I always remember the Charlie Brown bit, but it's a very long band name. And I love this one because it's everything I come to Festival de Canção for. I come for those sort of quiet moments which sort of make you feel things that you wouldn't feel in most other Eurovision national finals. It's kind of melancholy, it's kind of reflective, and it just makes me feel things, and maybe that's because I'm a bit pathetic. But I really love this song, and I really, really hope it progresses and it has a great live performance so that we see it again in a couple of weeks in the grand final. Only one left to discuss now, and it is the second semi-final of Söngvakeppnin in Iceland. Another 5 songs will be taking to the stage, and we have a couple of big hitters, I think, this week. Z, I'm going to go to you first. Of these 5, I want you to give me 2 names who you think are going to qualify this week.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping Kristen will be one of them. I'm going to say the titles in English. They will be performed in Icelandic, but I'm not going to try to speak Icelandic. So Kristen with Terrified. I love the sort of ethereal touch at the beginning. It's a very haunting pop song. She can sing very high, and it's got a very Icelandic feel to it, with references to Northern Lights, the cold being frozen in the lyrics. So I'm hoping that's one of the qualifiers. I would like the duo singing Together We Grow to be the other qualifier. I think it's outer bodily, and her vocal timbre is almost ethereal as well. I'm concerned that those 2 songs I've just mentioned might cancel each other out, so maybe only one of them will go through. So if I'm going to pick a second qualifier, maybe Siga with Dancing Lowly. Like, it's a solid 2000 style pop, catchy, nothing special, but performing towards the end. But I'd say maybe that could be the second qualifier.
Yeah, I definitely hear that, and I agree with a lot of what's been said. Colleen, what about you? Do you have the same 2 qualifiers or some differences?
I'd probably rather go through my favorites, maybe.
Sure.
So one that Z didn't mention is Ulfar's song. I'm not going to try and pronounce it, but it is a ballad. Ballads can be either very good or very bad at Eurovision. You can have some that are that don't go anywhere. It's just at the same pace the whole way through, and you're just feeling like, oh, when is this song going to end? But this one, it just goes up and down, and the mood all changes throughout the song, and he just performs it beautifully. Well, from the recording anyway, we haven't really seen the performance yet. I also do agree that I like Siga's song. It is very danceable, very catchy, but also I fear that it might be a little bit clunky in places. Just because listening to it, you do it does feel like a great song, but then you're hearing the music with the voice together, and it's like something's not clicking.
I'm gonna give a little shout out to Dancing Lonely. I agree with Z, it's a little bit dated, but I think it's got more of a pulse than some of the other ones we've got this week, and I can see it on stage coming to life and having an energy all of its own. That's the 6 national finals we've got coming up this week. Thank you for a mammoth episode, and thank you to our contributors Colleen, Z, and Laura for joining me today. We'll be very excited and for another early morning wake up on Sunday to see how things pan out. Thanks, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.